They have life coaches. The president of Amazon has a life coach. Probably the best basketball player of all time, Michael Jordan, has a coach. Tiger Woods has a coach, a swing coach. Probably could have benefited from a life coach. In fact, there was a famous surgeon by the name of Otto Kawandi, great surgeon. And he thought maybe he could value a coach. And he had a coach observe him in surgery one day. And the patient survived. In fact, the surgery actually went very well. And he figured, what could a coach observe from his surgery? Well, after the surgery, he met with the coach, and he had a whole page of detail of what he could have done better. I'm not sure if he shared those notes with the patient, but he observed that he could have been a much better surgeon just by getting feedback and by understanding what he could do to be better. We can all be better by hiring a coach, having someone help us become better. So when you think of a coach, we often think of a traditional coach. We've all played sports of some type, usually most of us. Well, that's not really the coach I'm talking about. Are you thinking of maybe a leader? Maybe you're thinking, well, I don't need a coach. I have a leader. I think of this pastor or a religious leader or somebody I look up to, a hero. Is that somebody that might be your coach? Somebody that inspires you, or somebody that you've read an autobiography about, and you think in your mind, you kind of have conversations with this person? Is that person your coach? Well, they could kind of serve as that kind of avatar coach, but they're not really a coach. What might be other forms of coaches? Well, you might have a mentor in business. Those are really good. I've had those in entrepreneurship. You might have one in the corporate world where they will help you navigate meetings, or maybe help you understand the corporate structure, help you understand some of the ways that people function in business. Because when you enter a business, there's a lot of dynamics that you just don't understand. So having a mentor in business or in your spiritual life could be beneficial. But that's not really the coach that I'm talking about. What about a counselor? Sometimes we have traumatic life experiences and we need a counselor to help us with mental health issues. Used to be we wouldn't talk about that, but today it's out in the front, and that's a very healthy thing to do. Our mental health counselors, are they coaches? Well, they can provide a coaching element for us at some time, but they're not really what I'm talking about in terms of life coaching. I'm talking about something a little bit different. Let me tell you the story of when about 10 years ago, so I was in my mid-50s, let's say, I'm not going to date myself too much. I was in decent shape, and I decided to go on a multi-day hike. I studied hiking. I talked to hiking people that might be coach me, and I studied all the materials, and of course, I didn't want to just hike any trail. I decided to hike a very difficult trail, not a technical trail. I didn't want to learn mountain climbing. But of course, I chose a difficult trail. I don't know why, but I figured I was up to it. I packed a 40-pound pack. It was hot. All the trails were up and down. They didn't traverse around these Allegheny Mountains. And it was difficult. There was times I thought I was going to die. I thought I was going to have a heart attack. And then I got lost towards the end. Have you ever felt lost in life? Did you ever wonder what was going to happen next? When you were running out of resources towards the end of my trip, I didn't have as much food supplies. I didn't have as much water left. My compass didn't seem to be giving me the right readings. The map didn't seem to make sense with the marks along the trail that I thought would be the right way. And then I saw different places. Maybe I could get help. Maybe a sketchy trailer. Not sure that would be a good place to go. And I had a cell phone, but it didn't have it didn't have contacts. I couldn't reach out to a coach and get advice. I could have benefited from a coach at that moment. So do you ever reach a point where you are worried that your brain cells are kind of functioning, you're on a destination, you have resources, and you're not sure if you're going to reach the destination, you're not even sure what your destination is anymore. That's what a life coach can do. They can help you understand your resources. They can help you understand your destination. They can help you see your mindsets. They can help you understand what your talents and abilities are, your shortcomings, your strengths, your weaknesses. And they can help settle you. They can help you understand, maybe they can balance you in your faith, help you reach out to maybe what you're not really in touch with at the moment. Tell you another story. Just 2 weeks ago, somebody reached out to me, a college professor. I knew her back in 21 and 22. And she reached out to me in a very difficult time. She was caring for a parent. She had a PhD. She didn't have hardly any money at all. And she had a decent income, and her life was crumbling. She had reached that point where she was on the trail, and she didn't know what was going. She didn't know how to budget. Very intelligent. She had the ability to do technical things, but she just didn't know how to connect the dots. She took classes, and they shamed her. She reached out to budget coaches, and they shamed her because they ridiculed her for not being able to have saved money or to be able to do the talents that anybody with an intelligence should have been able to do. I learned from this lady because at the time, I was kind of going back and forth in a position where I was coaching people on a daily basis with their finances. And I thought, I couldn't go the traditional path anymore with the way I was budget coaching people. Because I was coaching people literally dozens a month, dozens of people a month. I couldn't coach people that way anymore. I had to go deep. I had to understand people from their mindsets. I couldn't work from a basis of shame or worried about how people were being perceived by other people. I had to really work with them, understand them, help them understand themselves. That's where I began to learn and tap into. Somehow I didn't damage her. The email I got from her was beautiful. She told me how I offered her grace, I taught her, and the amazing differences that she had in her financial life, her spiritual life, her courage. She's writing books, she's teaching classes in a small college. Her finances have turned around. She cared for an ailing parent through this. Her personal growth is amazing. She's reached a plateau in life where now she wants to hire me again to do some financial kind of forecasting. She said, I don't need life coaching anymore. I just need this kind of thing. I said, that's great. We'll just do that. But toward the end of the conversation, we were talking about all kinds of very fascinating things. And I said, I have a sense you're dealing with some self-identity. She goes, yes. We talked about that for a while. And then I said, you're really struggling with how you're framing the past and how that's affecting your self-identity. And she said, yes, and I'm writing a novel, and I'm writing a textbook, and she said, it's really harming my ability to be creative. And I said, we're going to change that. That's what life coaching is about. We're going to unlock your creative ability because these are the things that are holding you back. That's life financial coaching. We connect the dots between the finances, between the mindsets, between the things that are going on in people's life in grace, with grace, and we help people away from shame and guilt that a lot of people struggle with when it comes to things as intimate as finances. Finances touch a lot of people in deep ways. You wouldn't think about it because we kind of go through life thinking life is good, but did you know 50% of the people that make 50 to 100,000 people live paycheck to paycheck? In fact, the statistics aren't any different for those in upper income. You would think they'd be a lot different, wouldn't you? You would think that once you made 200,000, it would be different. But those earning 150 to 200,000 a year, 28%. So about a third of those live paycheck to paycheck. 47% of those, 47% of those live paycheck to paycheck, and 30% of over 200,000 to 250 are living paycheck to paycheck. Another research that's interesting is that 50% of people says that they're not very satisfied with their life. So that's why I contend that at some point in people's lives, they could benefit from a life coach. and often a financial life coach, because often there's a financial element. Not because necessarily that the finances are stressful, it's because they're stressed. Sometimes it's because they have an abundance of money. People on the other end sometimes are stressed about it, and they're not sure how to manage it. And that's a different kind of challenge, because sometimes that creates a whole host of issues. That's why I've learned to do some marriage counseling, because sometimes that comes into play too. So just in conclusion, hopefully I've opened up your mind a little bit to this whole world of coaching, especially the life coaching and the financial coaching. It's a world that I've discovered and I've developed a methodology, and something I'm just having enjoy doing, because when I do it, I unlock a place in people's minds where I see the stress go away and I see the happiness and the daily joy come up. Because we're unlocking people with their true potential. We're seeing people live for virtue. And we're seeing people being turned on with gung-ho abilities in their life, because now they have the freedom to go after dreams. Previously, they were held back by the stresses and the limitations that they placed upon themselves. That's what I do. That's who I am. And I'm so excited that I launched this business when I moved down here to Florida. It's a compilation of who I've become and all the experiences from the entrepreneurship and the financial planning and ministry world that I've lived over the last 30 to 40 years. Thank you very much for your time.